We do have a little bit of crafting today, but I have a really special opportunity to share with you. I have some wonderful news that I have been selected as a beta test participant for Stampin' Up. They contacted me and said they want me to see if I can bring an opportunity to you to be able to test your interest in being able to purchase individual Stampin' Right markers. So what does this mean? First, it means that I couldn't wait to share it with everybody, because this is something that I'm very fond of, is Stampin' Right markers. They are the individual markers that carry the exact same ink as our stamp pads. This is not the Stampin' Blends alcohol markers. Instead, it's the Stampin' Right, and they're the long, narrow marker versus the different. And I'll show you two side by side just to give you a comparison. This is a Stampin' Right marker, and this is a Stampin' Blends alcohol marker. So compare the two side by side. I'll show it to you to where you can see how long it is. And you can see that it's not the same length, it's not the same width, it's a totally different animal. And hi, Kelly. So for the Stampin' Blends alcohol markers, they are sold in combo packs or individually. And for these markers that are the Stampin' Right markers, they are sold in two different ways. The first way is that they're sold in a package such as this. This is for the in color markers. And then they're also sold, let me get this here for you, in a very large pack called Many Marvelous markers. Those are the only two ways to purchase the markers unless you want just a black marker. But Stampin' Up! Is exploring a new way to bring these to you, which is really exciting. So for a very limited time, you will have the opportunity to place an order for an individual color. Let's say that you are creating a project that you only really want one color or two colors that will work together. Hi, Anne. Then what this will allow you to do is to be able to just select the colors you want, and you can use those on your project. You can build your collection with those. There's lots of things you can do with them. So what I want to do is show you my two favorite ways to use these wonderful markers. Now the big package here is called Many Marvelous markers, and it is the most economical way to collect the entire collection of colors that Stampin' Up! Offers. But it is a little bit more high of a price point, and I'm looking for it here in the catalog to be able to show you. On page 202 of the annual catalog, the Many Marvelous Markers pack is $123. And that carries, it's right up here at the top. And that covers all the Stampin' Up! Colors, and it has all the markers, every single one of them that is current. However, that's a little bit of a high price point for some people. And so what Stampin' Up! Is testing out in this beta test is, are you interested in purchasing single markers? And if you are, then you have an opportunity to show them that you want to purchase them individually for $3.50 per marker. And that would be, for example, this marker, you would place an order with an item number for just this marker for $3.50, plus applicable sales tax and shipping and handling. And the way that this would happen is you would place the order with me, and I would put together one big order that is for everybody. because this is a beta test and it's only been sent out to very few demonstrators, Stampin' Up! Only wants to be able to receive one order per demonstrator. And the ordering period is open from right now until the end of November. I'm going to close my order off on November 25th because that will allow me to send you a PayPal invoice, and you would be able to sign up through a clickable form and select the colors that you'd like to have. It's just really, really exciting for me. I do use these markers quite a bit. You guys, if you follow my YouTube channel and if you follow my blog, you see that I use the markers all the time. What you don't see me use the markers for are my touch-ups. Say, for example, if I've stamped a solid image and it didn't come out quite right, I grab a colored marker in exactly the same color as the stamp pad that I've just used, and I do a little repair work. So these markers are also available for any purpose you can find for them. I use them all the time in my planner. I use, like, doctor's appointments are in red, and I use the bullet end, which is this little pointy end here. And then sometimes if I want to have, you know, something written really big, then I use the long brush end here. You can also do some hand lettering with these. There's a kit in the annual catalog that will help you to learn how to do that. So in order to make this wonderful opportunity to where you can see what you can do with these markers, then I'm going to demonstrate with a brand new stamp set. And this is Bloom by Bloom. And I'm going to show you two of my favorite ways to use Stampin' Write markers. Now, I've already talked about how I really like to use them to do repair work and to do my office work and around the house. And sometimes I'll send a package of them to a teacher. So wouldn't that be great to package up a couple of colors that you know a teacher would really be fond of and create your own packaging, tie them up in a nice little bow, and make a gift of it to a teacher's aide or a teacher or to somebody who works in an office that you know they could really use them. Now, one feature about these markers is that you can use your ink refill and just drip the color back down into the marker, and your marker is perpetually ready to use. The markers are stored flat so that both of the ends are always ready to be used, and keeping it juicy with your ink refill is very simple. This is the same ink refill that we use on our stamp pads, so it's another way to use them. If you are not really accustomed to using the Stampin' Write markers, maybe this today will give you a little bit more of a look inside what maybe you could do with them. So here's a foreword. If you are a demonstrator, yes, you can place an order for single markers with me. That's not a problem. Stampin' Up! Is creating this beta test in a way that I'm only able to place one single order. And that's for everybody that wants to participate in the beta test with me. That it's going to be demonstrators and customers. As long as you're a resident of the United States, then that's something that's not a problem. So if you're a demonstrator and you would like to just maybe build up some of your colors with just a few markers at a time, this is a perfect way for you to do that. And most important of all is this is our way to give Stampin' Up! The feedback to say, yes, we want to buy these markers individually. Did you guys remember the card that I created whenever First Frost stamp set first came out? And I had the images of the thistle and I did it in blues and purples. That card just was so popular and everybody wanted to know how I did it. And I created the video that I called the technique color layering, because that's what I did was I, layered the colors one on top of the other with my markers. So that's one of the things that we're going to kind of go over today. So as I prepare to get myself right back over here, I'm going to turn the camera down and we are going to create with this brand new stamp set. This is going to be in the Occasions catalog. It is photopolymer and it's called Bloom by Bloom. It will have lots of other things to go along with it. I'm not going to create a card out of what I do today. I'm just using this as an example. So if you would like to see how to use these markers, this solid image is the very best way for me to give you an example. And by the way, here's a quick look at the beta test form. And so when you guys contact me and you let me know what colors you would like, then I'm going to total those colors up and add them into this form before I submit it to Stampin' Up. So I'm really excited to have been chosen to do this, and I would absolutely love for you guys to participate too. Lynn is asking, when will I be placing the order? It has to go through before the end of the month. So I'm going to cut off my customer submission by November 25th, or maybe a couple of days after that, because I think the 25th is not going to give us very long. Maybe then let's say the 28th. And November 28th would be the last day for you to be able to select what colors you want, and I'll turn it in on the 30th. So what will happen is I'm going to put a link after this video. I might be able to do it here now in the comments since Facebook is cooperating with me. Yes, it did. Wonderful. So I've just put a link in the comments section that is to a MailChimp form. And I already have created a form that you click. It takes you to MailChimp, and then it gives you the details, and it also lists out all the colors, and at the bottom is a form to fill out with your information. You'll need to fill out your name, your address, telephone number, email address, and then most importantly, exactly what colors you would like to select. And when you're able to fill that out, it sends me an email, and then what I'll do is I'll contact you with what the total is going to be for your order, and then I will tabulate everything on the beta test form. So another word of caution is that I'm only allowed to order 3 markers of any one color. And what that means is, let's say that, pardon me, let's say that I have 3 friends and they all want to pick So Saffron. So that would close out what Stampin' Up! Will allow the beta test to be for So Saffron. So if there's a color that you have in particular that you would really like to have, then you'll need to contact me really quickly and get your color reserved. Because if So Saffron, just for example, is a really popular color, then if more than 3 people want So Saffron, the 4th person would not be able to order it. So I want to be completely fair and make sure that only the people who get in on it first can reserve their colors. I have talked to Stampin' Up! About this today, and they did reiterate that they are very serious about the 3 marker per color limit. So even if this whole sheet is filled up and there's going to be no more than 3 colors, markers, period, after it's all tabulated. So again, I'll reiterate. Let's say if 3 people come up and say, I want So Saffron, I'll reserve them. And then the 4th person that walks up and says, I want So Saffron, then they would not be accepted. Stampin' Up! Will not accept that 4th marker for So Saffron. So that's just an example. It's not limited just to So Saffron. It's going to be for all of the colors. And there are 50 colors to choose from. So this is a much more economical way for you to build up your marker collection. It's $30 for, and I'll get the page here and show you, but it's $30 if you want to get a color collection of markers. And that would be, for example, if you wanted to get the Regals collection of markers for 10 markers, it's $30. However, if you want to just get a few markers that are from each different collection, then it would be $3.50 per marker. So it's a really good way to be able to build up your stash. And Lynn says that she'll check out her marker needs. Oh, you tried to find me at Onstage? Aw, thanks, Lynn. I wish I would have been able to see you on stage, because I appreciate you always participating. And everybody, and definitely at the next Onstage, which is going to be in April, I will be at Atlantic City, New Jersey, because it's only an hour from my house, which really works out for me. But some really special news about that I have not announced yet is that I'll be doing a workshop the day before Onstage with a friend of mine, and we'll be doing some classes on design. It's going to be just one class. I shouldn't say classes, but we'll have projects that feature how do we come up with card making designs and how this works together. And we'll also be doing a little bit of watercolor. So if you are interested in any of those, I will definitely be putting some more information out very soon. But for now, if you have any questions about the marker beta test, you can leave them in the comments and I will be sure to get back to you. I'm going to flip the camera over and then we're going to actually do a little bit of stamping, and we will try out some of the ways, two of the ways, that I like to use the Stampin' Right markers the best. And remember, this is dye ink. This is not alcohol markers. This is not alcohol ink. It's just dye ink. The same dye ink that is in the ink refill that we can drip down into our Stampin' Right markers, and we can keep them nice and fresh and juicy all the time. So here we go, flipping the camera around. And here's a look again at Bloom by Bloom stamp set. This is one of the new ones, and we're going to use this as an example today. I was really, really excited when I saw this stamp set because solid images work so well with creating with the markers, and I'm really, really excited to be able to share this with you. These stamps have not even come out of the package. They've never been used. So I am thinking maybe we will try this image here with the leaf stem. What I look for in a solid stamp is, does it have enough area to be able to show the color changes? So I'm gonna kind of mess up the stamp a little bit here. I'm being careful not to try to break it. Let's see. We can have it just featured down here. And I'm using the Stamparatus, which is my favorite stamping tool to be able to create these types of techniques. So sorry if the camera shakes a little bit. I'm just kind of messing up the photopolymer a little bit, marring it, and that's going to help the ink stick to my stamp. It's going to get it well loved in a much quicker fashion. So let's stick with some greens and yellows. I'll pull out here a few greens and yellows. We want this to look natural, and this is part of the appeal of using these markers in this way. So the first thing I'm going to do is share my color choices, and this is crushed curry, granny apple green, and shaded spruce. And I like how these colors will be able to kind of fade into each other really easy. And that's going to be something that's really important for this type of technique. So I'm going to use the long brush end, and I'll start off here on the tips of the leaves and stamp it down. Sometimes I use a sponge dauber to help this along, but it's the markers that really, really make it for me. Okay, and this is going to be a color change here. This is Granny Apple Green. And I'm just coloring it directly on that photopolymer here. And you can see that it's already transitioning the colors. little bit of yellow right back on those tips too. And this is not something that I can do easily whenever I'm using my stamp pads. It just doesn't work the same. Not for me, at least. Okay. And then I'll work it into the darker color. This is a very sticky stamp. It's brand new, so it wants to really stick to the paper. Depending on exactly what the image is that you want it to look like, it's going to be a little different. So I'm going to kind of create a bit more of a transition here, right in the middle. And then enhance this with a little bit more of the yellow. And I'm going to make sure that the place where it mixes together, I give it a generous little mix. Looks like my paper is moved in the Stamparatus, so it's not going to look as crisp as I wanted it to. But that's all right. We'll just make do with it. Hi, Kate. All right, so moving along, I'm going to kind of paint the stamp on one side with dark green and then bringing that medium green back into the other side. And the colors just mix up while they're right on the stamp. And this is something that I can get to look this way because I'm blending everything while it's on the stamp with the markers. It almost gives a little bit of a batik look to me. All right, so let's switch over stamps, and I can just take this off here. And I have a fresh side, and move over to the second way that I like to use these the most, and that would be for isolating a specific part of the stamp. So if you're just joining, oh, hi, Kate. Kate says, I hope you all buy lots of individual markers so that it comes to the UK. I'm telling you, I was so excited when Stampin' Up! Contacted me about participating in this beta test. And I think we really need to send a signal to Stampin' Up! That says, yes, we want the markers individually. Absolutely. All right, so we're going to add another one here. This is the flower, and I want to show my favorite way with Stampin' Write markers in order to, oh, I better move this down here. Maybe it'll help the paper stay in place a little better. But we're going to isolate some colors here. So let's bring in some really pretty blue colors. And maybe we can carry the same yellow back through. And I've got 1, 2, and then this is an area that's cut out of the stamp, but we'll make it work. Okay, so we're gonna go from dark to light, and I'm going to just be able to touch the small areas without worrying about the areas that are right next to it because of this nice, beautiful point on my Stampin' Write marker. And because I can isolate, I'm sorry, I'm like trying to color and talk at the same time, and it doesn't always work out for my brain. But because I'm able to isolate these colors, then I can just use one single stamp and I don't have to mask anything. Let's see, this is a very, very sticky stamp because it has never been used. And then I'm going to push this light blue in. And it's just going to go right next to the other stamped image. And I can't do this with my Stampin' Blends markers. I can't do this with my stamp pad, but I can do this with my Stampin' Write markers. So now I'm going to give it kind of a whole once over to make sure that if I didn't miss anything. Photopolymer has a tendency to want to kind of collect the colors. And then, as I mentioned before about correction, that I use these for off-camera correction, I can take and just go over an area that did not completely fill itself in. Or if I want to add a little bit of a shadow or enhance something, then I've got the exact same ink right at hand that I can use to make that happen. I can also do something that looks a little more tone on tone, and it's just all good. The Stampin' Write markers are by far my favorite. But they don't get used very much from what I see by other crafters. So now you can see how many layers we can add in order to get an image to really look pretty. And I'm going to enhance just this other outside area here to make sure that I get a good coverage. Looks like I missed one area. And because it's a marker, I can make that happen. And I can take away if I go into an area that I'm not supposed to. It's just a lot of fun. You can get a lot of different, really, really unique looks. Hi, Kathy. Why did I need the photopolymer flower? Why did I need it? Because I was trying to kind of mar it up a little bit and get it to look to where the ink would stick to. This is a brand new stamp that's I've never used it at all. And I kind of tend to mess up the surface a little bit so that the ink doesn't gather together in little places, because it is plastic, and that will help. But what I'm doing today is showing my two favorite methods of using the Stampin' Write markers, as this will facilitate being able to use them in your crafting. And I have little repair work here that I can do with my marker that I can't do with a stamp pad. And then I can go back with my yellow and keep improving this image because it jumped around on me. Then I cannot do this with my stamp pads. I can also give a few little enhancement marks. There's just so many things that I can do with the markers that I can't do with my stamp pads, but it's the same ink formulation. So basically, I would love for everybody to participate in this beta test from Stampin' Up. That way we are able to all let them know that we would love to have these markers for individual purchase. Now I'm going to turn the camera back around really quickly. Here we go. But yeah, that's basically what my two favorite ways are that I use the Stampin' Write markers. So if you're late to the video, then I'll reiterate to you once again that Stampin' Up! Has chosen me to participate in a beta test promotion on purchasing individual Stampin' Write markers. And here is a Stampin' Write compared to a Stampin' Blends, and we can see that they are not the same marker. Okay, the Stampin' Blends is shorter and the Stampin' Write is longer. I know it's very easy to confuse these two markers, but they are nothing like at all, and they have totally different ink formulation inside. And the way that we've been able to purchase the Stampin' Write markers currently, and what Stampin' Up! Is looking at possibly changing, is not having to buy a full package of markers, but instead being able to just buy one marker or two markers, or one marker from this pack and another marker from this pack, because it might be all you can afford to get at the time. So what we can do right now is you can fill out the form, or you can just contact me by message and I'll hook you up with a form. But once you complete the form that lets me know what you would like to order, then I'll be able to place all the orders at one time on the beta test form. We are limited to 3 markers per color, and that's as a whole group. So everybody watching is in my group, and we are only limited to 3 markers per color. So if Lynn wants the same color that Kathy wants and Joanne wants, that marker color will shut off. It'll be full. And then if somebody else comes around, if Betty comes up and says, oh, but I want this too, then Stampin' Up! Will not be able to fulfill that marker choice because 3 were already ordered. So it is a limit of 3 that are per marker. So I hope that you are interested in this promotion, and I really am excited to share it with you. And this is, again, a way that we can let Stampin' Up! Know that, yes, we do want to purchase individual markers and not have to purchase, here, I'll get it for you, the big giant mama of markers. This is the Many Marvelous Markers. The big mama of markers is a little out of people's price range. It is the most effective way to complete your marker collection, but it's a bit pricey. And again, if you want just a couple of markers to be able to gift to a teacher or gift them to a friend, gift them to a child, any way you want, then perhaps what you would like to do is just get a few markers. And this is our way to let Stampin' Up! Know. This is a beta test. This is not going to be a permanent program going forward unless the beta test shows success. So if we let Stampin' Up! Know that, yes, we just want to buy 1 marker at a time, then they would possibly be able to open this program up to when the new catalog comes around, whether that be an annual catalog or maybe a year from now, we don't know. This is their ground floor way of saying, is there interest for it? And yes, there is interest. So you have to, there's a few qualifications. You have to live in the United States in order to accommodate this beta test, because you need to be in my market. If it's successful in my market, maybe it will go to international markets as well. So that would be a wonderful way to be able to expand the test. There's a form that's in the comments here. I will also place the link to the form on my page, and I'll pin it here on my Facebook page so that you can go and click it. It takes you to the sign up form, and there's some information there. There's also a list of all the colors that you can choose from, and then you would then fill in your information with your name, your email address, your mailing address, your telephone number, and most importantly, which colors you would like to choose. And after I receive that, then within a few days, I'll get back to you with a PayPal invoice, because there's only 1 order that we can turn in collectively for the beta test. It's not like regular orders, not like placing a regular order. This is a beta test, and so we have to just gather all of the marker choices together, and I place 1 single order. When it comes back to me, then I will distribute the markers out to around the country to whoever orders them. So let's say somebody in California ordered 2 markers and somebody in Rhode Island ordered 12 markers. Then I will, once I get them here, then I will distribute them out myself in my own mailing packages. So it's not going to come from Stampin' Up! It's going to come from me. Stampin' Up's going to send it to me in a big box full of markers. And this is because it's a beta test. It is not the way that markers are now being ordered. And I really want you to understand that this is a different situation. This is not the way Stampin' Up! Is currently letting markers be ordered. Okay, so if you have any questions at all, I am here. You can reach me by email. My email address is jennystampsup@gmail.com. You can also give me a phone call if you have something you're not comfortable with typing. My cell phone number is 856-362-7777. You can text me at that number or you can call me. And I would appreciate if you did not call me after 8 p.m. in the evening, as I have 2 young kids, which you guys probably already know, and we are busy with bedtime around that time. So my kids go to bed pretty early. And if you have any questions at all, you can contact me here on Facebook as well by private message. So, are you excited? Are you ready to participate in a beta test? I am so ready to do this. Let's all show Stampin' Up! That we want to order markers individually. I think it would be fantastic. So I will see you all very soon, and I'll see you next time. I'm so excited. I know I'm mixing my words up, but I'm really, really excited about this beta test program. Okay, see ya. Bye-bye.